today, the top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him, because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can't tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Doug Poppa, Truth and Consequences Podcast. Welcome to episode 95 for Monday, February 28th, 2022. On February 25th, 2022, a three-justice panel of the Nevada Supreme Court ordered that the 2017 conviction of a Las Vegas man for 3 sexual assault charges be reversed because of the state's failure to preserve evidence. Ramon Dorado was found guilty of 3 rape charges on May 18, 2017, and was sentenced to the Nevada Department of Corrections for life with the possibility of parole after 10 years. According to excerpts of the order of reversal, one evening in April 1999, Michelle L. went out with some friends to the Silver Saddle Saloon, where she met Dorado. Sometime in the early morning hours the next day, believing that she and Dorado would eventually join her friends at another bar, Michelle drove Dorado to either his or his friend's apartment so that he could call out from work. Dorado invited Michelle inside the apartment, where she says he sexually assaulted her. Later that day, she went to a police substation to report the assault and completed a rape kit. 4 months after Michelle reported the assault, a detective cleared the case due to lack of leads in the investigation. In 2016, about 17 years after the assault occurred, Michelle's rape kit was tested and inputted into the police's database, which led to the identification of Dorado as a potential match. Police executed a warrant to obtain a fresh DNA sample from Dorado and confirm the match with Michelle's rape kit. In April 2017, the state charged Dorado by way of indictment with 3 counts of sexual assault. Dorado filed various motions to dismiss the indictment for pre-indictment delay, failure to preserve evidence, and destruction of evidence. The district court denied the motions. Following a 3-day trial, the jury returned a guilty verdict on the charges against Dorado. Dorado argues on appeal that he was prejudiced by the state's failure to preserve evidence, namely Michelle's clothing worn at the time of the assault and an audio recording from her initial statement to the police. Although the written transcription of Michelle's statement was retained, it was determined that the audio recording was destroyed. The state argues that it did not fail to preserve exculpatory evidence and that Dorado failed to demonstrate that any of the missing evidence was material to his defense. We disagree with the state. Dorado first contends that he was prejudiced by the state's loss of Michelle's clothing she was wearing at the time of the assault, because the clothing would have supported his defense theory of consent. Dorado argued at trial that the sexual assault was consensual, and, based on Michelle's testimony, her clothing would have buttressed her testimony. The state argues that at the time, the exculpatory nature of Michelle's clothing was not apparent, and even if it were, there is other evidence demonstrating that Michelle fought off Dorado. While the state did present evidence showing that Michelle had bruises, a scratch on her chest, a red mark on her back from a carpet burn, and broken fingernails, Dorado demonstrated that Michelle's initial statement may have been inconsistent with her trial testimony because she did not mention in her initial statement that Dorado ripped her pantyhose, but at trial she did. Moreover, this compounded the prejudice to Dorado from the state's loss of Michelle's clothing, as he was unable to use the pantyhose to impeach Michelle regarding this discrepancy. Thus, we conclude that, based on the record as a whole, Dorado has shown that it could be reasonably anticipated that the lost clothing would have been exculpatory and material to his defense. Dorado next argues that he was prejudiced by the state's loss of the audio recording of Michelle's initial statement, because without it, he was unable to impeach Michelle's testimony. We agree. Although the written transcript of Michelle's initial statement was available, there were numerous blanks throughout the transcript. There is independent evidence that Michelle's testimony may have been inconsistent with her initial statement, and that at least one of those inconsistencies led to an additional count of sexual assault. For example, there was no mention of digital penetration in Michelle's initial statement, whereas she testified digital penetration during trial. Likewise, there is no mention in Michelle's statement that Dorado ripped her pantyhose, but she testified at trial that he did. We thus conclude that Dorado has also shown that it could be reasonably anticipated that lost audio recording of Michelle's voluntary statement would have been exculpatory and material to his defense. For these reasons, we conclude that Dorado has established that he was prejudiced by the state's failure to preserve evidence that could reasonably have been anticipated to be both exculpatory and material evidence, and reversal is warranted. Accordingly, we order the judgment of the District Court reversed. Now my closing comments, folks. The loss and or destruction of evidence in any criminal investigation is troubling. Why there were numerous blanks in the transcript of the victim's audio recording is also troubling, notwithstanding the fact that the audio recording itself was either lost or destroyed by the police. I'm just wondering if the prosecutor had issues with the numerous blanks in the transcription before trial. In addition, why the clothes the victim was wearing at the time of the rape were not preserved as evidence is mind-boggling. One more thing. The reason it took 17 years to get the rape kit tested was because of a backlog resulting from a lack of funding. My final thought. Police and or prosecutorial misconduct are the reasons why convicted criminals walk free and why those truly innocent of crimes are convicted. Remember to hit the red subscribe button. Audio podcast available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Radio Public, and other platforms. Support my independent investigative journalism at paypal.me/Doug Poppa. Thanks for listening. Much more to come.